that. And if you can get right on your sit bones, and if you can't, you just bring a pillow and sit up on a pillow. So let's all get a pillow and sit up. Good. And to start with, let's just put the noodle underneath our knees. Let's take it all the way down underneath the knees. And then just massage your legs up and down. Squeeze and just slide your legs, your hands up and down. Exhale, inhale.
So exhale,
Exhale.
Inhale,
Drop the head and bring it up. If you can reach all the way to your toes, curl your toes under and see if there's a difference in temperature.
そしてそのつま先の方まで手が行くようだったら行く人はそのつま先の体温の違い。
Now let's just do one leg.
この一
One
番
leg up.
右でも左でも
Big hands all the
大き
way
な熊の手を想像してやりましょう。
up and down. Finding the
マ
feet.
ッサージしてあげて、つま先もまっすぐ届いたらマッサージ。無理しないよ。
Just find the feet and
あ、やばい。
slap them.
目覚め、起きて、まだ寝てるよ。
Even if you need to bend a knee, that's okay.
じゃあ、折ってもいいですよ。手を当てる。
And then go like, yeah, like that.
骨はあんまり使わない。
See all this? I'm just making this up. This all comes from Japan, and that's why I feel like I've had many lifetimes in Japan. This is all just opening the body so that we actually know where our body is. It's incarnating into our body. And the other leg, up and
だ
down.
んだん本当に目覚めてくるんですよ。目が覚めるっていうだけじゃなくて、
Exhale, inhale.
今なんか肉体のレベル。 先生が
There's a bathroom down. Dan, let her. Yes. Okay. Up and down. Up and down.
はい。
Big hands.
大きな手ですよ。熊の手ですよ。
Your skin is the biggest organ of your body. So we need to make
皮膚は
contact.
一番大きな臓器だと思ってください。
And then like you're clapping your legs. Up and down. Up and down. And then find that foot and massage it wishy-washy, the toes. Curl the toes under. Spread the toes apart.
こう開くね、指と指の間とかね、それからちょっと縮こまってる部分とかね、そこも見つけてあげてね、そうすると意識がそこに行きますよね。さあこれから何食べるのかなとかそういう時意識がいかない。
What did you say?
I said, otherwise we would think, what we can eat for breakfast?
What can we eat for breakfast? That's good. That's what I'm thinking too. And up onto the tabletop. Let's use the pillow on our knees.
膝の下にこの座布団を置いて、膝を痛めない
You
よう
guys stay like that. I'm gonna go this way. So you guys
に。
stay
先
right.
生見えるようにするから、先生もっと後ろに来て、膝が座布団の上に乗るように、手が上がって膝の座布団の上に来るようにして、
So walk out the whole length of your torso. Not too close. This is too close. So walk out. And then yeah, hit the top.
腰の下に膝で、肩の下に
And then curl the toes under and tap the
つま先トントントントントントン、そう。
and then flap them.
でまた足首伸ばして、
And then big like bear paws.
さあ大きな手を使って、
Big bear paws.
そう。
And you think these are my
四
arms.
つ足のまま、
This is one arm. This is another arm.
あ
And we begin to line up the arms like two towers. Right degree angles with the body.
floor 上げるときは軸になってる腕が重力を使ってますだから上げようとしないね
Architects
上がる自然に上がる
Architects, I would think, would make very good yogis because the same principles in building construction work in the physical
本
body.
当ね建築してる人ってその建築士はきっ
So
と
90-degree angles is where strength happens at 90-degree angles.
だから直角っていうか床に対して今肩の真下に手首があるっていう状態が一番力が自然に得られるからね
So anytime you want to move effortlessly, go 90-degree angles. Like this is a lot harder, and this is a lot harder, and this is a lot harder than this.
90度ね真下肩の下に手首っていうのを探してます
So, and then you inhale, look up.
で少し顎が上がってきます
And as you exhale, round the spine,
吐いたら猫の背を想像し
and it
て
feels like you're going to swallow your navel. You suck your navel in. Inhale, inhale, you release your belly. So
だから
now,
先生お
now
顔
you got a belly.
庭の方
And
に
exhale, you suck it
で
in.
今度吐いたら
Inhale, you arch your back, release your belly.
そうそれ猫の背ここが
And
丸
then open your butt. The buttocks is
は
open.
い吸いながら
And then
お顔が上がってくる
exhale, round the
顎を前
spine.
に伸ばす突き出すようにそうそう
And if we did nothing else the rest of the class, we would be balancing the cerebral spinal fluid in the entire body, starting from the spine, just round, back and forth,
そうです
back and forth.
その時に
Inhale, look up.
そう
And exhale, look
吐
down.
いたらまたへそを引く
Inhale, you look up.
はいまた吸い
And exhale, you look to your navel. Inhale, look up.
もう一度吐きながら自分のおへそお腹を見るような形で猫の背
Now you're going to look over your right shoulder and
で
find
今度は
and like you're wagging a tail of a dog, wag your tail.
そして今度は
So,
自分
so
の
this
右
this
肩
has
の方
the
を見ようと
spine
します
opening
そう
and
です
laterally, opening the spine the other direction.
でま
Now,
た正面
now bring your right hip towards your nose and bring your nose to your right
そう
hip.
ですそうです
The other side, left hip
そうす
to
る
your
と
nose and
こ
nose
こ
to
に
your
変化が
left
出
hip.
てきますこっち見るとこ
And
っちが
side to side. And feel the intercostal muscles getting a stretch.
いや
Side to side.
胸部のその肋骨ね呼吸をする時の胸部の肋骨間の筋肉がね開いてきます
Rest down into
ゆ
child
っ
pose.
くりと後ろへゆっくりだんだんと肘も降りてきます
Here, child pose. Sensei can have this.
OK
Here, sensei.
サコ先生どうぞ
Right,
ここに
right
ね
in there. Can you lay
ここ
across?
にもうだらっと体が自然に降りてくるんですね楽にそう
Sliding your hands down to your pillows. You're going to roll onto the crown of your head.
それで第6チャクラ第7チャクラ頭頂部をマッサージしますそこの頭頂部っていうのすごく疲れるんですがちょっと最初痛いかもしれない
Just tucking your chin and then roll around different parts of your head. Roll around your head.
少し慣れてきたらそうやって少しそこを、マッサージするんですよ前後小さなね頭頂部ですけど前後
Cross
左
your forehead over to your temples. As your head comes away from your knees, bring it back in. Bring it in close to your knees again.
で膝から頭頂部が離れてこないように離れすぎないようにまた戻して膝の方にそうでも自然にそのくるりくるりと出てなる人もいますねそう額の方も気持ちいいこめかみの方もそのマッサージしますその重力を使って自分で何かしようと思わないでだらーっと大地に自分を預けて
So that these cranial bones stay fluid and alive and creating space for the brain.
そう頭骨がだんだんとその張り、ね、10倍ぐらいの頭骨がこうだんだん開いてきますね頭でっかちになるって変な意味じゃないんですけれども
And release. Sit back up to your heels. Extend your arms forward
で今度
again.
ゆっくりとまた腰がかかとの方にそ
Back
し
to
て
tabletop.
もう一度四つ足の洞窟に戻り
Cat
ま
dog.
すもう一度その犬猫やってみます犬が伸びをする、 顔が少し上がってくる。
Now off the pillow, curl your toes under back there.
あは
And you're just going to lift your hips up a little bit.
まあ
Like
そしたら先生無理しないつま先立ちしてみます。そう床の上にそうです。そうやって少し腰が上がってきます。
And then
わあ
keeping,
すごい。
keeping one
そ
knee
こで
bent, begin to
テクテクと
pedal,
足踏みをしてす
pedal
るよ
your
う
legs. One leg,
そうそう
one leg bend,
で
the other
ずっ
leg.
と頭下げすぎない。時々手の方を見るとかちょっと目の前の床を見るとかしてあんまりその胸よりも頭下がると血圧の関係で具合悪くなりますから下げすぎない。ゆっくりテクテク。アキレス腱が伸びてきます。かかとつけようとしないけど少し後ろ側の筋肉ね伸
And
びて。
sending both sit bones up to the
はい、じゃあ
side.
今度は
And sending both heels down towards the
そう
ground.
ですそうです。両手でじゃあゆっくりとはー座骨がお山の頂上になるイメージね。頭自然に
And release
はい
back to tabletop.
ゆっくりとまた
Raising.
痛くなかったご
Laughing
めん
is more important than it
う
is.
んうん
Okay. So now you're going to take your right arm up. Maybe watch 1 second. Right arm up.
見ててくだ
And you're
さ
just
い。
going to thread the needle under.
なんかね
Inhale
右
up.
腕が今糸だとしたらあそこ針の穴にね糸を通す感じ。
And exhale. Now we're going to bring the breath deeper into it. Inhale, exhale. Taking all this jungle oxygen we got going here. Inhale, exhale. Yes.
これねいいですか。そうそうそうさっき
Open the
四つ
armpits
最初
and
四つ足
close the
そうそう
armpits.
だから膝これを緩めそうそうそうそうそうしてからそう気持ちよくこう
And then hold it under there.
でこの
Stay down.
ですからここの穴ですから
And rock your hips from left to right.
ねまたもう一度そうですはこれが糸です針の穴です
Ah. Ah. Let some sounds out.
少し
Ah.
ね声もね自然に出てきたら出した方が楽ですよ
Rocking your hips from left to right.
そして肩が下りた人はそこで小さく子犬が尻尾を振るような感じでピーピーピーと少しお膝の尻を左右に
Planting your left hand back to the floor, unwind and bring that right arm right back up to the sky.
でもう一度右腕上がってきます
And back to tabletop.
はいでも強く足を
And same thing, inhale left
今
arm
度左側
Look up to the left
左違うからね
and exhale, thread the
腕
needle,
が
bringing your left ear to the floor. Beautiful. Inhale up.
ここが穴
Look up, 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 up,
です
and
しますよ
twist.
しますよそうそうそうおおすごいですね
Inhale up.
はいまた
And exhale.
はいって穴
And stay right there.
そうです無理しない
You can put one hand on top of the other and rock your hips from left to
で
right.
今度左肩降りた方は両手合わせてそして頭で左で
And nod yes. Under there, yes.
針の奥に通すそう無理しないそしてそうでねそうまあ無理し
And
て
bring yourself up.
頭その横左のこめかみがだんだんそっちの方にね
And then keeping the knees on the mat.
これが
I want you to just walk around. This is a new thing Don's into,
こっ
Naoko.
ちに少しこうもたれる
Don is into crawling. Okay, so we're going to crawl on our mats. And then you can, the deal is we have to keep our knees on a mat. We're going to crawl as much around, but we can go onto somebody else's mat, okay? So let's do this. Let's put a pillow there, Sensei, so that when you get to that point, you put your knees on that. We're going to crawl all the way around. There's a new yoga, the crawling yoga.
まあみんなこの膝の上をのそのそでもなるべく板の上を歩かないように
Don created a track all the way around his house where he
動
crawls.
物が歩く感じですよね
And we're having a lot of good work with Parkinson's, people that have Parkinson's, and
パーキ
getting
ンソン病
getting them to crawl.
でだんだん回復していく
Oh, that's good. Yeah, Naoko, use the pillows. Yeah. Get some more pillows, Dan. There's more over there. Oh, there aren't.
getting used to なるべく床の上のになるゆっくりゆっくりですね。あんまりやりすぎる頭下げすぎるとちょっと気分が悪くなるので時々景色を見ながら黙々とやりすぎないで景色を眺めながら一度だってこんな綺麗なお庭があるんですから下ばっかりに行かないで
This crawling action balances the two hemispheres of the brain. And we're not doing our babies any service by not letting them crawl. We need them to crawl for a long time.
ベイビー赤ん坊がねよちよち歩きってはいはいこれはとっても大切だから急がせて立たせようとしない
And then when we come back to our own mat, we'll stop.
すごい長い自分のマットまで行けますかね
それでゆっくりゆっくり
いやいやそれ
全然大丈夫
そうですだって前を伝えてますよこれさまだ出ないよゆっくりよゆっくりゆっくり慌てないよ
And then coming off your hands. Laying onto your back and bring your knees into your chest.
そして今度ゆっくり仰向けになりましょうその先生が3日ほど前にヒマラヤに行って帰ってこられた時死んだというあのポーズ
Can you believe what she's doing, Dan? What Sensei's doing? It's great.
はい先生まだそこへですよ
You're not at your mat yet, Sensei.
はい
And then one knee, bringing your knees into your chest.
慌てない
And have your sandbag nearby. This is a sandbag. Find your sandbag. You guys find the
はい
sandbag.
砂袋見つけてで先生ゆっくり仰向けだからね慌てない
And bring the sandbag
私の方
on
に
your
なったらゆっくりとだから
on your knees.
寝るような
Add a little weight.
時間かけてこれはね頭に置いた方がいいんですよ砂袋今見つけてくるから大丈夫どっかずれてるのかもしれないあそこにあじゃあ持ってきます大丈夫だあいい
There's more
まず
sandbags.
仰向けになってください
ほらシャー一緒にやってますもう
ゆっくりですゆっくりはいゆっくり仰向けよ
And then, let's see. Putting the sandbag on your shin bones. And then holding onto the edge of the sandbag and just circle your knees somehow.
ゆっくりよお膝に手そうどこでもいいですそうですこの重さを使ってだんだんと重力を忘れない
And then bring the sandbag above your ribs. Set the sandbag on your below your boobs, on your ribs.
ちょっと胸の下
And one hand on each kneecap.
で
And then you're going to circle your knees.
そうしておいたまま少しお膝でくるりくるりと円を描くようなイメージそうただなるべく考え自然でいいですよ自然で今体に任せるそうですだんだんと背中が重くなってきます頭
Dan, will you give us all a strap? You know,
匂い袋がない匂い袋が大きな匂い袋がね大きい大きな匂い袋がねだからなくなるところぐらいでもいい入ってるだからハーブが入ってるから香りがいいんだから目が疲れてる
汚れた時はここにも You just try to do too much, that's when you get ruined or something like that. I remember that too. I remember taking long. That's in my mind. That's what I think. So I was able to practice everything. I thought I made it right. I mean, I had to watch it out another fact. I'm still waiting to see my house. But maybe some people will be good. I'm not going to
Good morning, everyone. We're really glad and happy to see you here in Samadhi Mandir at the Masahiro Yamamoto Institute. It's wonderful to see so many faces of people that have gone through 200 hours, 300 hours, 1,000-hour training right here in this room. Many of our teachers are here. I also want to welcome everyone from the community. Thank you for reading the flyers and hearing the call of this very special event. Amba and I are very grateful to be able to share this space. And as you know, this space has been many things to many people for years and years, and we hope to continue having this wonderful kind of experience here and providing it. So this morning, I'm here to introduce a very dear old friend of mine. I've known Naoko Robinson for about 30 years, maybe longer. Is it longer than 30? Maybe like 40 years. So, but we've been on a yoga journey together. We're both the same age. When I was teaching at Kapalo and directing programs there, Naoko came and represented a small village in the mountains of Japan, the village of Gucci, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Jonathan. So, and from there we traveled all around Japan. Amba and I both have been back many times to do our teacher trainings, to direct programs there, and Naoko has always been our guide. But the most important part of Naoko's presence is that she is a true visionary. She's a spokesperson for the goddess, the mother planet. She's given her life and her work and her wealth and her intelligence and her creativity to generating sacred space all over the place, wherever she lands. So we're so glad and so happy to have her back here, and we welcome her. And she will be introducing our other special guests who are going to be speaking today about the planet and how we as individuals make a big difference in the choices that we make. And you get some information and some new research that's being done, and to enjoy each other's company today. So before we start, before I bring Naoko up here, I'd like to just take a moment to invite everyone to please close your eyes. And as you close your eyes, we're going to have just a couple of moments of silence in honor of the planet, just attune to the sacred space in which we've landed this morning. And as you travel inside, to make a deeper connection with your own inner being, all the dimensions of wisdom and love and care you embody. In some way in your own world, take a moment to dedicate or to bring this time that we share together as a way of not only absorbing energy and inspiration ourselves, but to take on a greater awareness of the world around us, to share, to transmit the knowledge and the experience that we receive. And then if you will now, go in a deep inhaling breath.
Already time has passed, so I'd like to give Dr. Yamamoto as much time as possible. So I want to make it short, very short. And would you 日本の方ちょっと立っていただけますか? So we, all of us 9 have come, Dr. Yamamoto is fine, and then have come on the 17th, Tuesday, landed, and we are leaving the day after tomorrow. So it's just about 1 week. For me, it was shortest visit to Costa Rica because I usually come for these 2 weeks with the students for training. And then as Don, introduced me earlier, that he and I feel so much home here, Amba, and all this, processing and developing. And when I came here, this building was much more different, But anyway, I'm so happy to have come with this lady, Tomoko Sako. She's 80, almost 85, okay, 84. And she enjoyed Amba's yoga this morning, everything. And she is here. And then, anyway, I will introduce her a little later. Incredible lady. And then Dr. Yamamoto, he will be soon, shortly, start talking here today. Doctor of Agriculture, graduate of Tokyo University. And so I think, at the end we will have question and answer time. So hold that until, Thank you again. And my son, Jonathan, is going to translate.
皆さんこんにちは。
Good afternoon.
日本の南の方の鹿児島からやってきました山本でございます。
My name is Yamamoto. I come from the south, very south of Japan, right before Okinawa.
今日お話をするのは麹の話なんですけれども、
Today I'm going to talk about Koji.
麹はご存知でしょうか？
Does anybody know what Koji is?
麹は要するにお米を発酵させたものとして、この麹でお酒も焼酎も味噌もお醤油もみたいなやつ。
You can make soy sauce, miso, and alcohol. It's made out of rice.
And so in English, we translate koji as a malted rice, but it's not a malted rice. It's sort of fungus koji. And koji is a fungus which is grown around the surface of the rice. And the scientific name of koji is Aspergillus. Aspergillus Yuki, which is Kawachi. Kawachi is my grandfather's name. But when we bring koji to foreign countries, most of the foreigners are frightened with it because most Aspergillus produces poison. Like Aspergillus flavus, it produces aflatoxin, which is the strongest poison in the world. But it's a miracle, I think, because our koji, our Aspergillus, does not have the gene code for the production of the poisons. Many scientists research genetically for the production system of this poison. But exactly like gene converted microbes, Kojis. Especially like for producing soy sauce, we use aspergillus soy. This soy does not have the initiator of the production of the poison. And aspergillus oryzae, which produces sake or soy paste, it doesn't have a gene code. And aspergillus lucuensis along couch, it doesn't have any gene code of poison production. It's a miracle. So it was very, very tiring for us to export Koji to a foreign country. Even though I'm exporting Koji to Egypt or Europe and Singapore, and now I'm trying to export it. It's already exported to America, but I'm going to export a new type of Koji, which I will explain today. It's not for the food. It's for your health. So today, my lecture is that people would like to live healthy until the day of their death. Okay, and at first I will tell you today's lecture is for the people who has constipation, stomatitis, hay fever, and menopause, the problem of the pregnancy, and reflux esophagitis, and diabetes, collagen disease, and cancer. Today, what I'm telling you is very, very scientific. I wrote many scientific papers. So according to my experiment, I'm talking about it, not my expectation. So this is the hidden power of Koji. In these 15 years, I investigated alone, but in these 2 or 3 years, British scientists are interested in it. And 2 days ago, in ADM, Asa Daniel and Midland, they rang me up. They'd like to visit my laboratory. They are already interested in my technology. So I believe my technology will spread all over the world from now. I brought some samples. Later you can see it. So Koji has the power to improve the enteric environment. In this most medical company has a bad condition because now they cannot develop new antibiotics. In these 200 years, major business for medicine producing companies is how to find new antibiotics. Now they cannot find any. So they need another revolution, and it is how to improve the enteric environment. If you can improve the enteric environment, it improves immunity and improves diabetes, cancer, and incurable disease, and way of thinking also. It's already scientifically proved. And it promotes the pregnancy and anti-allergy, hay fever, reflux esophagitis, and anti-stress, menopause, and improves metabolic syndrome and diet effect and constipation. At first, this is my experiment about the Koji effect on allergy rat. Here exists the hygiene hypothesis. It is the reduction of infection in childhood might be the cause of allergy disease. Maybe around 50 years ago, the circumstances are much worse than present. So we've got many diseases, small diseases, and it promoted the production of the immunoglobulin E, which covers the allergy switch. But now we are living in a very clean circumstances. So there's no chance to increase the immunoglobulin E, which covers the allergy switch. So instead of the infection, I thought if we feed Koji too much, instead of the infection, Koji might increase the production of immunoglobulin E. This is an experiment. We use Aspergillus oryzae and Aspergillus, what does it now? We say Aspergillus leucoensis. And we produce sweet, rice sweets from it. This is Aspergillus oryzae, and this is Aspergillus leucoensis. We say black Koji, which is my grandfather found around 100 years ago. And okay, I'll show you only the result. We use brown Norway rat, which has allergy rat. Okay. This is the result. This is the level of the abdominal fat. This is control. And we hit the Aspergillus leucoensis, it decreases significantly different. Okay? And this is the level of immunoglobulin E. So this is the control, and you can see the Koji promotes the production of immunoglobulin E. And the rats cannot say, it's hard for me, they cannot say. So we measure the level of the histamine and the leukocytes. If it decreases, the allergy will be decreased. And it is decreased. Okay? Comparing to the control, the level of histamine decreased. And the leukocyte also decreased. So it means if you eat Koji or Koji sweets around 1% of total feed, it can decrease the allergy. And it is. I had a scientific paper in Japan with it. Koji improves lifestyle-related diseases. Next one. And this experiment, I used the fat rat, diet rat. Okay? And we fed Koji to that fat rat. And this is normal feed. This is normal feed with butter, more fat. So the level of abdominal fat increased. But if you feed Koji, the abdominal fat decreases a lot. And the blood glucose level also decreases. It means it's good for diet. And the cholesterol, it also decreases. So from these results, we can say that Koji is effective on diet and effective on the metabolic syndrome. And I made, today I didn't bring it, but I made some drink which is made of black Koji. And we checked the natural killer cell in the blood, in the human beings. I made this experiment with some medical university in Tokyo. And at first, I was going to pay for that experiment for the professor to write a scientific report. But 2 months later, he called me and he told me he will give me the data, but he cannot write a report because the data was too good. You can understand the business, okay? This is the data. So this is the level of this is the activity of natural killer cell. The blue one is a control, and the red one is they drink 1 bottle of Koji drink before the analysis. And the red one, they kept on drinking for 1 week, 1 bottle per day. And you can see it. Dramatically, the natural killer cell activity increased, and also the number of natural killer cells increased. So 2.5 times more than usual. When you get older, the level of natural killer cell decreases. That's why when you get older, you will get cancer, because natural killer cell cannot eat too much cancer cells. But if you drink the Koji drink, you can increase your natural killer cell level, which is cancer cell. And with it is on the basis of data, this data, I made an experiment with my friend who's got prostate cancer. He had a philosophy not to get chemotherapy and no surgery. So his PSA value, do you know PSA values? It is more than 4, he's got cancer. His level was 30. He's completely got a cancer, prostate cancer. So he started to drink my Koji drink from 2005 in May. At that time, his level was 30. He only drank my drink, that's all. No surgery, no medicine. And within 1 year, less than 1 year, I think the PSA value decreased less than 4. He completely recovered. He's as old as I am. And you know, the usual medicine for prostate cancer will let you be ED. Okay? And he doesn't like it. And 2 years ago, he's got married again. 30 years younger lady. and last year, he got a baby. And so he was so happy, and he advertised a lot. And at that time, his friend got polyp here, throat. And this is the photo of it. Here's the polyp. And he was a president of a commercial company, and he lost his voice. So, this is not a so serious disease, so he was going to have a surgery. So here's the date. Okay? It was November. The beginning of November, and the end of November he went to the hospital to get a surgery, but the doctor couldn't find any polyp. This is all the result. And next is an experiment for the chicks. You know, coccidia.
No.
It's a very serious disease of the stomach. Many chicks die with this disease. And there's an antibiotics for that. So we made an experiment with 20,000 chicks for each. One is control. And after they get the coccidia, they fed the antibiotics. Number 2, they fed the Koji to the chicks. And then number 3, at first they fed only formula feed, and after the chicks got coccidia, they fed Koji. This is the result. This is mortality. This is control. And anyway, this is the mortality of what they are finding before they're getting the diseases. So the mortality level is around from 0.1% to 0.4%. But after the coccidia, the mortality levels goes up. If they feed the antibiotics, they recover very soon, but 2 or 3 weeks later, it comes back. So after the coccidia, the mortality rate becomes around 0.6%. And without using the antibiotics, they can feed Koji and it prevents from getting coccidia again. So the mortality is less than the control. And from the first week we feed Koji, they never get coccidia. So the average mortality, very low. So this experiment is done in the tropical chick house, 20,000 birds each. So you can leave it. And this is the pig experiment. And we fed Koji to the pig, and this is the body gain. This is control, and this is the with Koji. Control, the body gain is 434 grams per day, and with Koji 503 grams per day. And so the feed conversion ratio is 2.9 to 2.7. It means 2.9 means with 2.9 feed, 1 kilogram body gain. But if you feed Koji only 2.9 kilograms feed, 1 kilogram body gain. So this is very economical. And this is very interesting. The weight of feces more than 20% decreases. Feces decreases. It's a very big problem for the farmers because the wild growing pigs, they produce a lot of feces. Okay? It smells and it makes the soil condition very worse. But if you feed Koji, you can change the quantity and quality of the feces. Later I can explain. And the more interesting thing is this data. This is written in Japanese. But do you know butcherate? Please keep in mind butcherate, because this is the second revolution of our health. In these days, many doctors, medical doctors, notice the condition of our intestines most important. So, in America, some girl who's got a serious disease, so he put some other people's feces into her intestine by chew. And within 3 days, she recovered. Okay? So this is very, very important to change your microbe condition in your intestine. And many doctors studied about it, and they found the level of butyric acid is very important. The butyric acid is produced in your intestine from the fibers, vegetable fibers. Okay? But in these days, people except you do not like vegetables. Especially in Japan, we eat meat and rice. It's worse because there's no raw materials for butyric acid. At least you have to eat a lot of fibers, a lot of vegetables to produce the butyric acid. But you need some byproducts to produce butyrate from the fibers. This is a problem. In this August, I attended the scientific meeting of chicks in Eve. It was held in Nepal. And we made a presentation. And many medical companies made a presentation at the butyric acid capsule. Because if you drink butyric acid from mouth, it will be consumed in your stomach. It doesn't go to your intestine. So one company covered with a capsule, not to be allowed in the stomach, and they got a good result for the growth hormone. And other company made some chemical complex with glycerol and butyric acid, not to be allowed in the stomach. They also got a good result. And my report is, it's no need to make a capsule or no need to make a chemical complex. You have only to eat Koji. It is very simple, and they completely ignore me because it's too cheap. Okay, the capsule, very, very expensive. And this is the data, what I did and graph. This is the butyric level, and this is control. And if you eat the Koji going up, the level is up. And this is if you feed liquid Koji, liquid water. Okay. So the butyric promotes the production of immune cells in your body. This is the data from chicks. And this is the data of the milking cow. From this data, I'm telling you this, the Koji promotes the pregnancy. Because without the pregnancy, the cows cannot produce milk. Okay, this is the data from the 300 dairy farm. And this is the number of the milking cows. At first, within 300 cows, around 110 cows are milking. But 2 years later, they started to feed our Koji only 20 grams per day. In a cow, it's 800 kilograms cows. They eat only 20 grams Koji per day. And 2 years later, the number of the milking cow is increased up to 150. It means they got pregnant a lot. And this is the annual rate of slaughter. It means if they finish, they will be killed. So before Koji, more than 25% cows within 300 dairy were killed because they finished. But 2 years later, only 15%. So they succeeded in increasing the quantity of the milk, but not only the quantity, but also the quality. This is the somatic cell count. If the somatic cell count is huge, it means the quality is worse. But see that. At first, it was like this level, but 2 years later, it decreased. And the milk fat increased a little bit, and milk protein increased a little bit. So the milk price increased a little. It means the milk of the cow keeps fresh, more fresh than usual feed. I made this kind of experiment to the meat cow also, and the Japanese cow meat is, say, shimo-free, combined with fat. It's tasty, but it's not healthy. And with this kind of cows, has a lot of fat here. Because of it, it's very difficult to get pregnant. But if you feed Koji, the abdominal fat goes, so it's very easy to get pregnancy. So it promotes the pregnancy. Not only that, but also it promotes the production of semen. It's the data from the human being. In Japan, no, I don't think in this country or in the States, but in Japan, because of the chemicals which is used for the farming, for producing rice, many people is going to feminization. Okay? I also made an experiment at that time, and so now the numbers of sperm for young boys are decreasing a lot now. It is around 20 spores. The number of the sperm is around, this is in Japan, around 90 million cells per milliliter. But in my age, while I was young, then it was 300 million. So decreasing. But if you eat koji, it comes back. One guy visited me around 3 years ago because he had a problem of his sperm. So his sperm number was around 80 million. And the activity was 18%. It was not that. Okay? So I gave him my koji drink, and 1 month later he went to the doctor, and the number of the sperm is 300 million. The activity was 80%. He was so happy. So in this case, it's very difficult to avoid from the chemicals. I think most important thing is how to detox. Koji is very good food for you to detox from any chemicals. And maybe you are not interested in this technology, but I would like to introduce my new technology, which is patented already. And I invented a Koji liquid feeding technology for the pigs. These are the food garbages. Okay? And when I put koji in this garbage, it becomes like this. You know, I didn't put any water. Okay? Usual garbage includes around 80% water. But because of the fibers, it is still steel. But koji has a lot of enzymes to cut it. So within 24 hours, it becomes like that, and at the same time, it produces a lot of enzymes and a lot of citric acid. And at the same time, it promotes the growth of lactobacillus, which is good for your stomach. This is the growth level of the lactobacillus without koji, and this is the level of growth with koji, 3 times more than usual. And this is my big fun. For my experiment, I'm growing 1,200 pigs. And I made an experiment. I made a scientific paper from this, and I'll tell you. When you use koji, you can decrease feed cost more than 25%. And the meat quality is much better than without koji. Like vitamin E level in the meat is more than usual. Okay, and this is oxidized fat level is less. So it means when you feed koji, the meat quality is more fresh than usual. And I will tell you, in these days in Japan, pigs are eating 6 million tons feed per year. But if you use only 6,000 koji per year, you can decrease 1.2 billion tons of feed. 100 times more. So it's huge. You can see that. I believe Koji will save the world. 120万トンの1億2000万トンだから、you can say 120 million tons of corn. You can say 120 million tons of Koji, of corn per year. You can say. You can send to the poor country. It's good, isn't it? And at the same time, you need not decrease the production of the meat. And not only that, the feces, the pig, is much different. It doesn't smell. And this is the pH of the feces. The control pH is just neutral, 7.4. But if you feed the Koji liquid, the pH of the feces is less than 6. Okay? In this condition, Salmonella cannot survive. Escherichia coli cannot survive anymore because it becomes very healthy. Neutral is not good. Little bit acidic condition is very good for your health. And our pig's intestine condition is very good. So they have only little diseases. Do you know the PED? Do you know? It's a very big problem already in the United States. Do you know the reason why the price of the pig meat is going up? Because it is because of the PED virus. It is some virus which makes
Diarrhea. Diarrhea.
One or 2 weeks だからこぶだな、ね、生まれて1週間ぐらいのこぶだな、入りして死ぬ病気がいって。
A disease that baby pigs that are under a week old, they die from diarrhea.
Now, already in America, 7 million pigs die. There's no way to save them, but I can save. With this Koji technology, small pigs will never get PE. And even in them, they get some PE, they will recover. That's why Asa Daniel and Vikram Rani, they are very curious about my technology. And I told you the feces of the Koji liquid fed pig has a very good quality. This is the result. Okay? Buckwheat. Okay, this is the buckwheat. This is neighbor's buckwheat. This is our buckwheat. See that? I used the fertilizer from this pig. It promotes the growth of the vegetables. Usually 50% more than usual. And the soil is very soft, very soft. And when you walk on the soil, your shoes goes around 5 or 10 centimeters. Very soft because it promotes the growth of the microbes in the soil. It is very active. And this is the quality of the buckwheat. Quality of buckwheat. This is reduction power of this our buckwheat. This is superoxide reduction and hydroxy radical reduction and oxygen reduction power is See that difference between the usual crops and our buckwheat. It's just like a comparison.
Chinese medicine.
So this analyzer told me, your buckwheat is not buckwheat. This is the Chinese medicine. Okay? And this is very delicious. So as I told you, I believe the Koji technology will save the world. We can reduce the consumption of the feed by animals. You can use the left homes to poor people. And after feeding, the fertilizer is good for the agriculture, and it promotes the production of the vegetables, crops, around average 50%. And now, one laboratory is very interested in my technology, which is one of the biggest electricity producing company, and according to the experiment,
Asparagus.
Asparagus. When you put asparagus, it takes around 2 years to start growing. But if you mix this Koji fertilizer, 6 months is enough. And even it is 0 degree, I mean minus or 0 degree, freezing degree, it grows. It grows. It is very interesting. And they put the they measured the soil temperature. It was -1. Even though this asparagus keeps on growing, it is very, very mysterious. So they are very interested in it and keep on studying about it. And at last, I will show you my healthy capsule, tea Koji. Do you know the power of the green tea?
Yes.
At first, 1,000 years ago, green tea was used as a medicine in Japan because this is the phenomenal reducing power of green tea. This is green tea, okay? This is garlic, and this is rice pudding. Comparing to other foods, the reduction power is so huge. Reduction power of the green tea is so huge. And this is green tea, Koji, tea Koji, as big as usual tea. Okay? So from this data, don't you think, why you make tea with it? You should eat it. You should eat tea. Do you think so? Try it. And if you eat tea Koji, ikai.
Stomach ulcer. Ulcer. Stomach ulcer.
Stomach ulcer.
Ulcer. A-L-C-R. Ulcer.
Ulcer.
Yeah.
Because green tea inhibits growth of the cells. So in the stomach, there's a very strong acidic condition. So your stomach cells must grow faster. But if you eat tea, it will stop the growth of the stomach. That's why. But I found if I grow the Koji on the surface of the tea leaves, it will prevent from that. And then you can eat it. So I invented this tea Koji 2 years ago. And according to these experiments, I gave it to my banker, my main banker. And he was retired. He was retired because of his heavy diabetes. He started to drink 2 tablets per day, and 6 months later, his blood glucose level became normal. And now his main doctor is also drinking. And I got a lot of data from around 20 people who got a high blood glucose level people. More than 80% people decreased the blood glucose level. And there's hay fever. When you start to drink it from January, so in March, no hay fever. I got the hay fever in 2000. It's said that if you got hay fever, it will never be cured. But I started to drink it with 2011. At that time, I was not selling. I made it only for myself. And from 2011, no hay fever. And I also got a reflux esophagitis. It's so heavy. I went to a doctor for 1 year, but never cured. And I found it's not a usual esophagitis, reflux esophagitis. It's some sort of allergy. So I started to drink it. And one day, it's gone. This is the data of the mouse cell growth. Okay, this is the control. When you feed tea leaves, the growth of the mouse cell decreases a lot. But this is with tea Koji. You can see the effect of tea Koji. It doesn't prevent from the growth of the mouse cell. And this is the blood glucose level. Most people goes down. HbA1c also. And last, I will tell you my friend's result. My friend's wife got a last stage ovarian cancer. It was last year. And his cancer level was 2,800. Usual level is 30. However, 2,800. So most doctors said maybe the end of that year she cannot survive. And so he was my very good friend, and he was a professor of the Chuo University. And so I recommended him to drink 10 capsules per day with chemotherapy. And this is the result. From 2,800, they started from October, and in December, it's already 500. And in this May, her level becomes 15. So she recovered completely. And from a CT scan, they looked at never find cancer cells. And this is the evidence of Koji promotes the production of the immune cells. Okay. This is her data. At the same time, she's got immunotherapy. Okay? In immunotherapy, she takes out the blood outside and it grows the lymphocyte outside and push it back. So at first, her level of the lymphocyte was very low, this level. Usual people's level is here, but around here she started to drink tea Koji, and next time it is November 12th, is around 6 billion, and in December 8 billion. Even the doctor was frightened. And this is the data from the doctor, and she said, I cannot understand this graph, but this is, she says, this is evidence how to, the influence of tea Koji is apparently very effective to that. Chemotherapy is attacking the cancer cells, but at the same time it attacks your immune cells. Okay? So, immune cells were produced in your intestine valve, okay? And it attacks your intestine villi. So it cannot produce the immune cells. This is a problem. But while chemotherapy, if you eat tea Koji, it promotes the growth of the intestine villi. So it will never be damaged. So on the one hand, the chemicals, antibiotics attacking the cancer cells, but on the other hand, tea Koji promote the growth, production of immune cells. It cooperates. So it's very good. And I have a lot of things to tell you, but it's time. So I'm gonna finish. But so I will read this Koji for you. Yeah.
Thank you.
And this is yellow Koji and this is black Koji.
So when we start exporting it into Costa Rica?
I don't know. But if I send you the spores and if I teach you how to make Koji here, you can easily produce it. Koji can grow any vegetables, any crops, or any meats.
Oh, you can grow on.
Yeah, so in some near future, I can visit here because this is a very good area. I would like to visit here again. At that time, maybe I can bring my Koji spores and I can teach you how to make it. If you teach me yoga. And I will let some samples here. This is Koji tablet. Now, probably all of you are very healthy, so it's no need for you. But if somebody has some heavy constitution, usually you need to drink only 2 tablets, but drink 10 tablets per day for 3 days. You will find it.
Or we can get these products in Japan, right? We can go to Japan.
Just looking at.
これは日本で、日本に行けば手に入る。
Do you have a website?
Yes, I have a website. And even from Europe, some people are buying a lot.
Okay.
Most of them are the cancer patients.
Okay. We have Europeans here, so they can get in Europe.
I will leave you some. Okay.
We will have.
Any questions?
We'll have to get close.
Okay.
So the spurs, you grow it like you do the mushrooms?
No, different. It takes a lot of time, mushrooms, isn't it? 1 or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Koji, only 3 days.
Is that okay for them to take one?
Sensei,
any other questions? I'll translate it.
I'm curious about the impact of Koji and serotonin levels, and possibly the impact on sleep. So,
セラトニン、セラトニンっていう夜眠れない人のためのね、そういう効果とかはあるんですか？
I haven't made sure, but probably because I came here 55 days ago without any jet lag, and I let all of them drink.
Right. He was providing all of us about 10 capsules a day, and we had no jet lag. And also, you see, the thing is the Koji decreased the stress, So I think it's somehow affect the sleeplessness too. I think we all have to be sleepless. Yes.
This is on rice?
Yeah, the rubbing on rice. Yes. There's a white and a black, and the yellow one in the package that is made especially for Masahiro.
If you mix with rice and heat 60 degrees, within 2 or 3 hours, it turns very sweet. Natural sweet.
Become like Amazake.
Have you experimented with autoimmune diseases?
What? Sorry.
Autoimmune disorders?
Autoimmune.
Yeah, has he done any experiments or
Yeah.
looked into that?
神経と
神経系のね。
それはまだないけれども、結局この間国連大学で言ったように、when you eat koji, it promotes the production of butoxy-butyl alcohol, and this butoxy-butyl alcohol acts your
Parasympathetic.
Your
So it's
brain
most parasympathetic
not to
nerve
produce stress hormone.
reaction.
So he hasn't done research yet, but he says probably.
With this study, I was awarded by the government. It apparently koji decreases your stress. From this minute, maybe you can sleep well. With less stress.
So very simply, that these Koji capsules are not so cheap, not too expensive, but then if you purchase inexpensive, those Koji is not expensive at all. And then you just mix it with a little salt and then water and ferment it and drink it daily, and that takes care of it. Or just to mix your dog and then a cat, if you're keeping the dogs and cats, and you just mix some Koji just into their feed. That's something else. It's a lot of
Well, we'll have to get the organic goods and import it.
Oh yeah.
We could import, Fritz could import this from Japan.
Yeah, of course, because he's the third generation of the course. His grandfather found this out of the bamboo hundreds of years ago, and then Korea is still using his original the koji to make the wine and sake over there. So yeah, you have to. But then it's not the. I tried, and you can grow koji. You can make koji here.
Yeah.
You have rice and spore. You can buy some here. Yeah.
My mission is how to spread my koji technology all over the world. If I have done it, I come back here again and teach you how to make it.
You'll have to start a farm here.
Go ahead.
So, can you explain the process of creating it? That's where I'm getting confused. So you take a grain of rice, is it like a
まだ
simple
この話してるんですけど、麹の作り方。
It takes time.
お米の粒からどうやって作る
What do you start with?
なんでどこから始まる
You steam the rice. You steam the rice, and then kept in a warm, like a body temperature, and then you sprinkle the koji spore.
Where do those
spores come? Like a powder. Like a when the mushroom grows, it's like a spore.
So it's something that you can find on
You just steam the rice. And
Sorry, I'm not a scientist, so I'm a little
sprinkle
confused.
this koji spore, and then incubator. Keep in a certain temperature for a couple. How many days? 2 days. Then it's like a flower. 3 days. It's like a koji rice grains has like a flower.
Where do you source the spores?
From bamboo.
I guess that's how do you create the spores? So you are growing it. It's something you're growing, and then.
Yeah, there's company sells that spore in Japan, but his is original. As I tried, his quality is exceptional.
It grows.
Yeah. So
like when you do yogurt. No?
You have a question? Yes.
think you have.
Familiar with what we call here effective microorganisms? I believe it's a mix that also originally comes from Japan. And is there any connection?
Sorry, what was the name again?
Effective microorganisms.
Effective microorganisms. なんかアジアか日本か。
It's different, completely different. It is a photosynthetic bacteria. Well, the Koji promotes the growth of photosynthetic bacteria also. I'm growing photosynthetic bacteria with Koji.
My next question is, have you already visited Earth University? Earth
University.
No, I don't think so, but no. How about you? Yeah.
それでよかったらそのユニバーシ
So to get
You're talking about
so the score 持ってきてる。それは持ってきてる。Yeah, he hasn't brought them this time. That's why he wants to come again.
Anyway, without knowing how to make it, it's useless for you. Next time.
So right now,
You are
there's
creative.
no way to buy it.
No.
I have some recipe.
Yeah, we have this already in Europe, I think, right?
Yes.
We have this already in Europe.
Yes, that's what I said. In Europe has it.
Yeah, and you could put something, yeah. Yeah, we have it already.
With that black Koji, you can make dressing. So at home, I put the black Koji dressing and vegetables in. Very good smell. You can make it.
Go ahead.
You mentioned earlier that you mentioned two things. One was butyric acid, and another one was lactobacillus. What strain of lactobacillus, and does the lactobacillus survive the stomach as well? You said that the butyric acid will not survive the stomach.
お腹の部分を生き残る。
胃酸にやられないのはね、ルブリカアシドは胃酸にやられるでしょ。だけどそのバシラスってまだヨーグルトのなんかそれは
お腹生き残るんですか。
胃酸に強いですか？
麹の先が違うので、だけど麹は要するに麹そのものがいいだけではなくて、麹が乳酸菌の餌になります。だから麹を食べるとお腹の中の少なかった乳酸菌がブワッと増える。
So does black bacillus you say? It's like in a yogurt?
Lactobacillus has a particular. That's acidophilus.
Koji and lactobacillus is totally different thing, but when you combine, for example, koji and lactobacillus, and lactobacillus increases. That helps, the koji helps lactobacillus to increase.
Does that make sense?
I think he was also asking if you drink it orally and it goes into the stomach, will it survive the stomach to actually get to the intestine where you need it? You're saying that butyric acid doesn't survive the stomach, it has to be entered in another way.
ラクトその乳酸菌はでも飲んだら
乳酸菌はこの乳酸菌は強い大丈夫。
So the tea
tea koji plus lactobacillus, and this lactobacillus I selected. Okay, it doesn't be a
so it will pass through the stomach. Is what he's saying. It's strong enough to go through the stomach.
Yay! There's hope.
What strain of lactobacillus? Or any kind of lactobacillus? As far as I understand,
this is my special lactobacillus.
It's
Special.
secret.
I have a special one too.
Yeah. That's what we're talking about, Laurie. And I'm translating his book. He wrote a book, Power of Koji. So you can wait.
Next year you'll bring those spores with you.
He can't get away because leaving next year. He better get back next week.
Yeah, really.
Exactly.
So for
the U.S.? Can we buy it in the U.S.? Do we buy it directly from you through a website or?
So he's sending it from Japan. His website is only in Japanese right now, but he's going to make it an English one.
A lot of customers in Europe already getting from you.
Yeah, so there's already people buying it in Europe, so there's no reason why we couldn't buy it in the States.
That's important.
Yes.
But I'd like to really insist that Dr. Yamamoto is the one who many I have met in the past. So sincere and honest. He's not interested in making money. So you can really utilize his knowledge and study about it and spread his good things. Not necessarily just products, but the way of life. That's why he thinks, interested in Dana Nama's yoga, yogic lifestyle. I think it's really blending well. It's a way of life. Yeah, co-create with the nature and
the fertilizer sounds great.
Yeah, create.
I'm not interested in making
and agros are very
cows.
important. Yeah.
But the fertilizer sounds interesting.
Helping, a lot of farmers and
So to spread the information, do we just go to his site when he translates it into English, and you'll give us that information?
この情報を拡散の友人とか家族に拡散しようと思ったら、そのホームページにそれをみんなに言うかとか、そのホームページをうまく通訳ソフトとか使ってやればいいですかって。だからキーワードも多分なんかこれを検索したらいいみたいなのが。
English in English.
So we're gonna, if you all want to give him your email address, and when he's got it all up and running, so he can communicate with us.
He's in preparation to make his website into English in the future. Near future, yes. Hope so.
So if you're interested, put your email address right clearly so you can get it correct. And,
あ、そうそう、なんかどうやってその中央までの流れ書いてしたの？
そう、だから僕のメールアドレスだけ書いてるんですよ。
So he's gonna write down his email address right here.
Dr. Yamamoto, thank you very much for coming.
So the website is in Japanese, but you can order today, and it will deliver. It's just the website is in Japanese. That's all.
Okay.
It's not like.
Well, Coco can help us. Okay. Coco, she lives here and she's not going anywhere. She can help. And there we go. We gotta undo it. Coco. Yay! So those of you interested, we'll be with Coco.
Thank you very much.
One more feature of this.
One more feature of this presentation.
How could we do?
Can we introduce
Okay, thank you, Dr. Yamamoto, thank you, everybody, and so time is unfortunately limited, but again, Toko-san, and also I'll be with Dr. Yamamoto in Japan, so anyway that, you can ask us to get connected. And now next we are transitioning to more unseen force, like Amba has the DVD called, unseen force. And yogic way is not depending on something that we can see on five senses, but unseen force. And then this Mrs Tomoko Sako is, I said earlier, almost 85 years old, but she is, when she was 57, in precise 57 years old and then 6 months old, she all of a sudden the body started shaking, and then she didn't know what happened, but in the middle of the night, and she started, writing. And in the first couple months or so, she didn't know. The body moves, and then she's closing her eyes and in the dark, and then she was just doing this, and then next time that the family member prepared some hazard paper and some, pens. So always she slept, those things at her pillow, the bedside. And then whenever she started shaking, and then just do this, and then little by little, it makes sense. First it was quivering, but then gradually then noticed it's something from higher consciousness, using her body, and then sending some messages. And she's not a shaman or birth or nothing. I don't personally know what shaman means in Saso, but whatever she writes, she's not thinking that then little by little, and even why prime ministers and all this, business people, famous people started coming to her place, and then just simply, I need some message, I need some guidance, and then she just looks at the face, and then just all of a sudden she starts writing this, and then sometimes it's a very rude message, so, and then she just thinking, oh my goodness, what I'm writing. But of course she's not thinking. The other party knows she's not thinking and writing. So everybody, got that message. So ever since it's almost 30 years that she's been doing it. And whenever she goes to shrine, like you said, shrine, all over Japan temples, she has no idea why she has to go there, but then people come and then ask her to go. And usually she doesn't say no, just, strongly she feels something ill feeling. And then she goes, and then most of the time this priest, takes her to the middle of somewhere in a shrine where only emperor empress can go into, ordinary people cannot go in. She go take them and sit there, and like a simple woman. And so she's her like a dawn. Life is mystery. Her saying is, I don't know why. I don't know why. There's an inquiry. Always inquiry. So when I felt, when I came back from here in April, after in a class with the students, and then I just thought somehow, I really want to bring her and Dr. Yamamoto here for some reason. I didn't know why, but I felt. I made action, I asked those students, she said, okay. So, but with her, she said yes and no, yes and no. Several times, and finally, she's going to draw, okay? With a spirit, just a spirit, she's not thinking. So this is the brush and the ink, and this is rice paper.
Does she want to sit down or stand up? You want to stand?
I said yes.
Do you need to stand?
This is good.
Can we come up close and watch?
Yeah, sure.
今度横の長さがあります。こんにちは。私は82歳。85歳。
She said she was cheating. She's 82, but she's actually 84. In March, she'll be 85. はい。
人間はいくつに一生懸命生きてたら奇跡を。
So people, we usually live, in peace. Always miracle happens.
You live to your full extent.
私が56歳の中で
56 years old and 7 months to be precise when she was.
その時に突然何かが降りて
Something descended on her.
そして目をつぶって筆やらも字を書くとか
So she closed her eyes and started to draw.
だからメッセージが降りて
Some message descended on her.
何にも信じてません私
She's not a religious, she doesn't believe in any special thing.
だけどそれにそんなバカなそんなバカなって言ってね逆らうことができないほど強烈ななんていうのかな光ってそういうのはありました
So she couldn't believe what was happening, but it was something that was she couldn't resist it, and it was like a source of light to her.
で先ほどお話しくださった山本さん
So the Yamamoto-san, who you just met,
あの人とも私がそういうハイテンションの時にそれがきっかけで会いました。
So that she met Yamamoto-san through her experience with this light.
それで山本さんを私は信じてる。
And she believes in Yamamoto-san.
で山本さんも
彼も信じている。
山本さんも信じてる。そして、2人とも道はまっすぐであって晴れてて大勢の人の心を掴んでるんじゃないかと思います。
And she believes that both of their paths are going in the same direction. It's a straight road with bright skies, and it will help guide people to happiness.
山本さんは世界的に名前が広がっています。知られています。
Mr. Yamamoto is very famous in the world, or is becoming famous.
で、コージの世界っていうのが広がって今世界的にも認められているし。
So Koji is now spreading all over the planet. It's becoming, people are recognizing it.
それをはた脇で見ててね、自分の息子の年齢ですけれども、こうそばで見てていつも感動してます。
Even though he's her son's age, she's always inspired by his great work.
で、今日こういうことがあって何か書いてくださいって言うから私は筆を持って何か書きます。
So they've asked her to draw something. So she doesn't have anything in her mind, but she will see what is going to happen.
ね、いつの頃か山本さんが発明したりとかどんどん先に進んでいくにつれて私もつられて字を書いてあるとかやっぱりなんか具合が悪い人とかなんかわからないけれども力になれるようになっています。
So Mr. Yamamoto is the one who's been pulling her along with him, and now she's able to use her drawing to help people as well.
で、一切宣伝はしていません。
So she's not commercializing any of her powers.
でもなんか聞いてやっぱり国も大事だ。
But a lot of important people, official people, are very. A lot of people respect her. She doesn't really understand why. Yeah, they come to visit her at her house.
だからどこかで人のお役に立つといいかなって少しはお役に立つかな。
So she doesn't really understand it, but she apparently she's helping people, so she's going to continue what she's doing.
それで小さいハンカチ、それに私がこう書いてお守りにしてるんですよ。
So a lot of people, she draws. So a lot of people bring white handkerchiefs to her, and she draws whatever comes up on them, and a lot of people have them as little protective charms.
何かわからないけれども元気を持って
She doesn't understand it. She doesn't believe it, but apparently it's helping people and strengthening them.
そして正義感が強い。曲がったことが大嫌い。どんな偉い人でも食ってかかること。
And she believes in herself, and whatever people, yes, she believes that she's in her.
She's believing the
She believes in truth,
so,
and she believes what she thinks, and she will not be. Nobody can stop her. Never get in her way.
ダメなものはダメなんです。
Whatever is wrong is wrong.
本当のやっぱり真実。
So truth.
そういうものは必ず天につく。
And if you go the right path of truth, you will find your way in heaven.
理屈は何にも分かりません。
She does not understand how that happens. It's not logical, yes.
でも自然にこういただけるものの力を借りて私ははるばるとここにもやってきました。
But if you follow your heart, as she did, she found her way somehow here. You will find your way.
周りは私の年を考えてハラハラしています。
People around her are always worried because she's so old.
でも生かされてるから平気です。
But she's okay. She says they don't have to worry so much.
She's moved by the seeing force.
だからわかりませんが何か書きなさいって言うから。
So they've said they've asked her to draw something, so she's going to draw something.
それでこういろいろ書きますけれども、今みんなが喜んで持ってるのはハンカチにどうと書いたのをお守りに持ってるんです。
So whatever she's going to draw, a lot of people have handkerchiefs with drawings that she's done.
じゃあ書きます。
Okay, she's going to begin.
これどこがどこなの？
ありますよ先生、ここからここのテーブルとか引っ張ってますから、こう
これを全部使っていいです。
はい、使っていいです。
下も汚れていいんで。
大丈夫ですね。
大丈夫。
はい、思いっきりやってください。
はい。
You're just worried that how much of the table you should.
というのです。はい。
もう、
別にちょっとダメわからない。分けるんだったら。
いや、はい、取ります。つながってるんですか？聞いてない。
エネルギー。
エナジー。
何を書いてるのか知りません。
She doesn't know what she's
皆さんのエネルギーが映ってる。
Everybody's your energy. She's channeling.
どこですか？まだいいね。
Thank you. In the end of she has made a lot of, she sent a lot of messages, but also she writes a lot of poems, and one of them, it now has become a song, and at her house, every month, 11th day, we, all over Japan, people somehow heard about her and come together, and then we sing a song, and then recently she asked me, so I translated into English, and then so now if you allow us to sing, that's basically oneness is made out of love, love is oneness of our heart, and then earth is the round, therefore sometimes we are separate, because we say I'm going to the right, I'm going to the left, and momentarily we separate, but then at the end the earth is round, so we say konnichiwa and how are you and get together.
Let's make a round. So let's make a big circle.
Yes, that is one of her dreams that she wants to see.
Excuse me.
Are you coming into the circle?
Well, I only have one hand. I don't want to interrupt.
You can put that one hand right on here, so you can.
Thank you.
So that is the thing that says that they should be so to the right, to the left. Sometimes we are apart っていうところ来たら右左にちょっとじゃあそのジョナサンのところでちょっとこう離れる、ね、右と左は分かるで最後にワンネス手をつないで made out of love のところでまたつながってちょっとして
So there's a part that we go to the right, to the left. She wants us to divide here, I guess here.
Yeah.
And then when we say come together again, we'll come together again. It's okay, that's not too perfect.
We'll follow you. All right.
はい。じゃあ日本語で言った人にでも of course you don't know, I'm sorry, but you can hum or you can just move the body and then so okay. じゃあ日本の人は日本語で歌ってみたい。Okay. Let's say widely spreading our wings from the end of the sky, like the swans fly high. Wish to hold the earth in my heart and soul, in my heart and soul. Wish to hold this planet Earth to the right, to the left. Sometimes all hard, but as the earth is round, there's no separation. Keep walking on your path, and shall we meet again? Konnichiwa, how are you? Everybody meet again. Mochida, widely spreading our wings from Samadhi Mandir, like the Spartani to the right, to the left. Sometimes we are right, but as the earth is round, there is no that way we sing every, month, 11th day, so she doesn't want other way. The first part we repeat, and then second part. So I did not make up. This is
Thank you so much. Thank you, Naoko.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Yamamoto.
So that's Sako-san.
Sako-san.
Sako-san no poem. She
Sako-san and
wrote
Yamamoto-san.
that poem.
Wow.
And then, so that was one of her dreams. She was dreaming of it. She's singing here.
So the meaning of the song is like, so the earth is round, so even if we go on a different path, we'll always meet. Again, that's the main theme of the song. So you can't separate it. You're always going to meet again, even if you separate. The message of the song.
That's for that.
Thank you everyone for
Thank you for
coming.
coming.
Thank you. Have a great day.